His ex-wife called him gay, and people laughed, but he lifted his bride onto his shoulder and shut the door with pride. "Hi, my most deeply cherished, honored, and irreplaceable family. How are you, my heart? This is your Mr. Peter, and I speak to you with a love so deep, so sacred, that words will never be enough. You are not just viewers, you are my true family, my life's blessing, my soul's comfort. My beautiful queens, my noble kings, my precious daughters and sons, you are the reason I smile, the strength behind every word I speak, the love that carries me through every storm. I thank God for you every single day." A prayer, so loving it wraps around your soul. May your heart feel loved in every moment, your spirit rest in calm waters, and your days bloom with beauty and peace. I pray that every burden be lifted gently from your shoulders, every tear be turned into a testimony of joy. May your home be filled with laughter, your nights with restful sleep, and your path with golden light. May angels walk beside you, guiding your steps with grace. You are treasured, protected, and deeply, endlessly loved. Thank you, my beautiful family, for your pure hearts and unwavering love. Can we reach 1,000 likes on this video, my precious ones? Let's show the world the unshakable love we share. Please like, comment, and share, because this is more than a channel. This is sacred. This is family. Let's begin with all the honor, love, and light in my heart, my beloved, beautiful family. The string quartet's melody floated through St. Augustine Cathedral as Gracie Smith stood at the altar, her mahogany skin luminous against ivory silk. Her eyes found Sam Evans, drinking in the sight of her soon-to-be husband in his perfectly tailored tuxedo. The hunger in his gaze made her pulse race, not merely desire, but recognition. Soul calling to soul. "Dearly beloved," the minister began, his voice resonating through the vaulted space, "we gather today to witness the union of Samuel James Evans and Grace Michelle Smith in holy matrimony." Gracie's heart thundered. After everything they'd endured, Sam's wounds from a marriage built on lies, the careful walls he'd constructed, they stood here together. She squeezed his hands, feeling the slight tremor. His green eyes shimmered with unshed tears. If anyone has just cause why these two should not be joined, speak now or forever. Hold your peace. The cathedral doors exploded inward with a thunderous crash. "I object." Every head turned. Pam Rhodes strutted down the aisle in blood-red silk that clung to her surgically enhanced figure. Her bleached waves had been styled to perfection. This entrance was choreographed. "Sam prefers men," she shrieked, her voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling. "This wedding is a sham." Gasps rippled through the congregation. The color drained from Sam's face, his hands going slack in Gracie's grip. "You can't marry her, Sam," Pam continued, reaching into her designer clutch. "Not when I have evidence of your secret life." She connected her phone to the church's sound system with practiced ease. Within seconds, a man's voice filled the cathedral. "Yeah, Sam Evans and I were lovers for 2 years. He paid me to keep quiet. That marriage to Pam was just for show, and now he's doing it again with this poor girl." Gracie felt Sam sway beside her. His parents in the front row looked mortified. Her own family sat in shocked silence. "I have photographs too," Pam declared triumphantly, throwing printed pictures into the air like confetti. They scattered across the altar steps, doctored images of Sam in compromising positions with various men. Nervous laughter bubbled up from some guests. Others whispered behind their hands. Someone in the back actually applauded Pam's performance. "No," Sam whispered, his voice breaking. "It's not true. Gracie, I swear." But Gracie had already released his hands. For one terrible moment, Sam thought she was abandoning him. Instead, she hiked up her wedding dress, revealing the blue garter on her thigh, and marched toward Pam with murder in her eyes. "You vicious, lying snake!" Before anyone could react, Gracie launched herself at Pam, tackling her to the cathedral floor. They rolled across the marble in a tangle of red and white silk, Gracie's veil tearing as Pam grabbed her hair. "Get off me, you gold-digging whore," Pam screeched. "I'll show you who's the whore." Gracie wrapped the torn veil around Pam's throat, not tight enough to truly choke, but enough to make her point. "You've tortured this man enough." The congregation erupted in chaos. Phones appeared, recording the fight. The minister stood frozen at the altar. Sam finally snapped from his shock and rushed forward. "Gracie, love, no!" He pulled her off Pam, his strong arms wrapping around Gracie's waist. She fought against him momentarily, her chest heaving with rage. "Let me go, Sam. Let me end her." Then she saw his face, the devastation, the humiliation, the raw pain in his eyes. Her anger transformed into something else entirely. She grabbed his face between her hands and kissed him with such fierce passion that several guests gasped audibly. When she pulled back, her lipstick stained his mouth. "You're mine," she declared, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Every single inch of you belongs to me, and I'll prove it tonight." Without warning, Sam bent down and threw Gracie over his shoulder like a warrior claiming his prize. Her dress rode up, exposing her legs to mid-thigh. Someone's grandmother fainted. "This ceremony is over," Sam announced, his voice carrying a dark edge none had heard before. "But make no mistake, this woman is my wife in every way that matters." He strode down the aisle with Gracie over his shoulder, her hands gripping his jacket. Behind them, Pam scrambled to her feet, screaming obscenities. The guests sat in stunned silence, unsure whether to applaud or call the police. In the limo, Sam's control shattered. He pulled Gracie onto his lap, his hands tangling in what remained of her elaborate updo. "I'm sorry," he breathed against her neck. "God, Gracie, I'm so fucking sorry." She silenced him with another searing kiss, grinding against him through layers of silk and satin. "Don't apologize. Don't you dare apologize for that psycho's lies." His hands found the zipper of her dress, but she stopped him. "Not here. Wait until we're alone. I want you to tear this dress off with your teeth." The 10-minute ride to the Ritz-Carlton stretched like hours. Sam's hands roamed her curves over the fabric, his mouth leaving marks on her neck that her grandmother would have called scandalous. Gracie could feel his need pressing against her, hard and insistent through his tuxedo pants. The moment their honeymoon suite door closed, all civility evaporated. Sam spun Gracie around, pressing her back against the door. His eyes were wild, desperate. "I need you to know," he said hoarsely. "I need you to feel how much I want you, only you, always you." "Then show me," Gracie challenged, her hands already working his bow tie loose. "Prove that bitch wrong." Sam dropped to his knees, lifting the hem of her dress. His teeth found the blue garter, dragging it slowly down her leg while maintaining eye contact. The look in his eyes made her shiver. "I'm going to worship every inch of you tonight." "Promises, promises," she teased, but her breath hitched when his mouth pressed against her inner thigh. He stood slowly, his hands skimming up her body until they reached the neckline of her dress. With a growl that made her core clench, he gripped the fabric between his teeth and pulled. The expensive silk gave way with a satisfying rip, thousands of dollars of couture destroyed in seconds. "Sam!" she gasped, but her protest died as his mouth found her breast through the lace of her bridal lingerie. "Mine!" he growled against her skin. "This is mine. You're mine." They stumbled toward the bed, leaving a trail of torn silk and scattered pearls. Sam's jacket hit the floor, followed by his shirt, buttons flying in every direction as Gracie ripped it open. When she finally got him naked, Gracie pushed him onto the bed and straddled him. "Look at me," she commanded. "I want you to see exactly who's claiming you, who owns you." Their joining was primal, desperate, all the pain and humiliation of the day transformed into pure need. The headboard slammed against the wall with each thrust. Gracie's nails raked down Sam's chest, leaving red trails that would last for days. "Harder," she demanded. "I want to feel you for weeks." Sam flipped them over, driving into her with an intensity that bordered on violent. The elegant suite echoed with their moans, the sound of skin against skin, Gracie's demands for more, harder, deeper. They made love 5 times that night. Against the door, when they couldn't wait another second, on the plush carpet where they'd fallen in their desperation, in the marble shower with hot water cascading over their intertwined bodies, on the balcony, under the stars, where anyone in the neighboring buildings could see their silhouettes, and finally in the bed as dawn light filtered through silk curtains. When they were finally spent, lying tangled in sheets damp with sweat and impassion, Sam traced the love bites he'd left across Gracie's collarbone. "I love you," he whispered. "I've never wanted anyone the way I want you. Man or woman, you're everything." Gracie turned in his arms, studying his face in the soft morning. "Light. I know, love. I've always known. That's why her lies don't matter. This—" She pressed her hand over his heart, feeling its steady beat. "This is what's real." As the sun rose over Portland, painting their hotel room in shades of gold and rose, Sam held his wife, not legally perhaps, but in every way that truly mattered. They'd faced the worst possible wedding day and emerged stronger, their love forged in fire and sealed in passion. Tomorrow they would deal with the fallout, the viral videos, the social media storm, the necessary legal proceedings. But tonight, they had proved to each other and the world that their love was real, raw, and absolutely unstoppable. "Ready for round 6? Gracie murmured against his chest, her hand already trailing lower, teasing. Sam's laugh was dark and full of promise. "With you, always." And as he rolled her beneath him once more, both of them knew that this was just the beginning of their forever. Chapter 2. The Virgin Lie. 3 years earlier. Sam Evans stood in the doorway of his Seattle penthouse watching. Pam frantically stuffed designer clothes into her Louis Vuitton suitcase. The evening sun cast long shadows across their bedroom, the same room where they'd consummated their marriage 18 months ago. "You're being ridiculous, Sam." Pam's voice pitched high with panic, her perfectly manicured hands trembling as she folded a silk blouse. "Those videos are deep fakes. My ex-boyfriend is trying to destroy us." Sam held up the USB drive he'd discovered hidden in her jewelry box, right behind the Tiffany earrings he'd given her for their anniversary. "Deep fakes, really? Then explain the metadata showing these files were created 2 years before we met. Explain the butterfly tattoo on your hip, the one you had removed just before our wedding." The color drained from Pam's face. She'd forgotten about that tattoo. "I can explain." "Can you explain this too?" Sam pulled out a medical report from his jacket. "Your gynecologist's records from 3 years ago, the ones documenting your IUD insertion. Strange thing for a virgin to need, don't you think?" The memory of their wedding night flooded back. Her trembling performance, the theatrical gasp of pain, the blood on the sheets. She'd even cried, whispering, "I saved myself for you." "Sam, please, do you know what the sick part is?" He moved into the room, his 6'2" frame casting a shadow over her petite form. "It's not even the sex that disgusts me. It's the calculation, the elaborate lie. You made me feel like a monster that night. I spent weeks researching how to be a better lover, how to help you enjoy it. I bought books on female sexuality, went to therapy because I thought I'd traumatized you." Pam's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks, but Sam had learned to recognize her performances. "I found the receipts, Pam. Theatrical blood capsules from a special effects company, the same kind they use in movies. You planned every detail." She sank onto their bed, shoulders shaking with what looked like sobs. "I did it because I loved you. I knew you valued purity, tradition. I wanted to be perfect for you." "Perfect." Sam's laugh was bitter as acid. "I found 26. Videos, Pam, 26 different men. Some were filmed in our bed, in our home, while I was at work building a future for us. Those were before we were married. 3 were from last month. Silence fell like a hammer blow. Pam's tears stopped abruptly, her mask finally slipping. "You weren't supposed to find those," she said quietly, her voice suddenly cold and calculating. "I'm sure I wasn't, just like I wasn't supposed to discover the Virgin Act, or the birth control pills you've been taking while we've been trying for a baby, while you've been making me feel inadequate because you couldn't conceive." Pam stood slowly, her entire demeanor shifting. The sobbing victim vanished, replaced by something harder, more predatory. "Fine. You want the truth?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I targeted you, Sam. Rich, handsome, but most importantly, naive. Desperate to be the white knight. The virgin thing, brilliant actually. Men like you eat that shit up. The good girl who saved herself just for you. It's like catnip for your type." Sam felt something fundamental break inside his chest. "Why? Why?" Pam laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Because I could. Because you were there. Because your trust fund could keep me in designer clothes and fund my actual lifestyle. The one where I fuck whoever I want, whenever I want." She moved closer, her signature perfume, the one he'd bought her for their anniversary, making him nauseous. "You know the really pathetic part, Sam. You're actually good in bed. Great, even. If you hadn't been so hung up on monogamy and all, that traditional bullshit, we could have had fun together. I could have taught you things that would make your virgin fantasy look like a Disney movie." Sam stepped back, revulsion crawling through his veins. "Get out!" "Oh, I'm leaving. But first, let me give you a parting gift." Her smile turned vicious. "You're not the first rich boy I've done this to, won't be the last. But you're definitely the most gullible. That night when you kept asking if you were hurting me, when you actually cried because you thought you'd been too rough, that video is my personal favorite. I show it to my friends sometimes. We laugh about it." The room spun. Sam gripped the doorframe to stay upright. "Get out!" "One more thing," Pam said, zipping her suitcase with finality. "When we divorce, and we will divorce, I'm going to take you for everything. And if you try to fight it, I'll tell everyone you're gay, that our marriage was a sham to hide your sexuality. I've already planted seeds with your friends, your colleagues, little comments about how you're not interested in sex, how you seem uncomfortable with intimacy. They'll believe me. They always believe the woman." Sam watched her gather, her bags, his mind reeling. Everything, their entire relationship, had been a calculated performance. Every tender moment, every whispered promise, every time she'd curled into his arms and murmured, "I love you." Oh, and Sam. Pam paused at the bedroom door. "That thing you do with your tongue? That swirling motion? Keep that. Your next victim will appreciate it. Though honestly, with your trust issues after this, you'll probably never let anyone close enough to find out." She left him standing there, broken and hollow. Sam sank to the floor, his back against the wall, staring at the bed where they'd made love. No, where they'd had sex. Love had never been part of her equation, the worst part. She was right about the trust issues. For 2 years after that night, Sam couldn't even look at a woman without wondering what lies hid behind her smile. He threw himself into work, built walls so high and thick that no one could penetrate them. He went through the motions of dating, setups, by concerned friends, business dinners that could have been more, but always ended them before they could begin. Pam's divorce lawyer proved as ruthless as she'd promised. The gay rumors she'd spread took root. Former friends suddenly remembered signs they'd missed. Business associates questioned his stability. She took half of everything and painted herself as the victim, the poor wife whose husband had used her to hide his sexuality. The psychological damage ran deeper than the financial losses. Every compliment felt like a potential lie. Every expression of interest seemed calculated. Sam found himself questioning not just others' motives, but his own instincts. How had he been so blind? How had he missed every warning sign? He moved to Portland to start fresh, but the wounds followed. Therapy helped him function, but couldn't restore his faith in love. Dr. Martinez, his therapist, had told him, "Trust isn't about never being fooled, Sam. It's about being willing to risk being fooled for the chance at something real." But how could he risk it? How could he ever believe in pure intentions again? It took another year before Sam even attempted to date. Sarah from accounting seemed sweet, genuine. On their third date, when she mentioned she'd been raised in a conservative family and wanted to take things slow, Sam had a panic attack in the restaurant bathroom. All he could see was Pam's calculated performance, the fake tears, the theatrical virginity. He ended things with Sarah that night. Couldn't risk it, couldn't go through that devastation again. The virgin lie hadn't merely broken his heart or emptied his bank account. It had shattered his ability to trust, to believe in innocence or genuine emotion. Every tear could be manufactured. Every hesitation could be calculated. Every declaration of love could be a trap. Sam Evans, successful businessman, attractive and wealthy, became Portland's most eligible bachelor who wouldn't let anyone pass the first date. The man who had everything except the ability to believe in love. Until a rainy Tuesday when he ducked into an art gallery to escape a downpour and saw a woman with natural hair and paint-stained fingers teaching a group of children how to see. Beauty in broken things. Gracie Smith would change everything. But first, Sam would have to decide if he could risk believing one more time. Pam's calculated deception had nearly destroyed him. The question was, could the truth finally set him free? Chapter 3. Studio Seduction. Present day, 3 months. Before the wedding, rain hammered against the warehouse windows as Sam Evans pushed through the heavy metal door, water dripping from his overcoat. He'd been walking aimlessly through Portland's Pearl District, trying to clear his head after another failed attempt at connection. Coffee with Jennifer from the MBA program that had ended with him making excuses after 20 minutes. "Damn rain," he muttered, shaking off his umbrella. He ducked into the first open door, some kind of art space, judging by the exposed brick walls and the unmistakable scent of oil paint mixed with turpentine. "Classes are upstairs, sugar," a gravelly voice called out. An elderly security guard pointed toward a freight elevator. "Life drawing's already started, but Gracie won't mind if you slip in quietly." Sam started to explain he wasn't here for a class, but thunder crashed outside, rattling the windows. The guard had already returned to his crossword puzzle. With a shrug, Sam headed for the elevator. He'd wait out the storm, then leave. The elevator opened onto a vast studio space bathed in warm light. Easels were arranged in a semicircle, maybe. 15 people sketching intently. Classical music played softly, Debussy's Clair de Lune, Sam recognized. He moved to step back into the elevator when he saw her. In the center of the circle, on a raised platform, draped with burgundy velvet, reclined the most striking woman Sam had ever seen. She lay on her side, completely nude, her rich brown skin glowing under the carefully arranged lights. Her natural hair formed a halo around her face, and her eyes were closed in serene concentration. Sam couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only stare. She wasn't just beautiful, though God, she was that. It was the way she owned her space, the confidence in her pose, the way the light played across the curves of her body like she'd been painted by a master's hand. One leg was bent, the other extended, creating lines that were both elegant and sensual. Her breasts rose and fell with steady breaths, and a small smile played at the corners of her full lips. "You planning to stand there all day, or you gonna draw?" Sam jumped. A middle-aged woman at the nearest easel was looking at him with amusement. I don't have supplies. Gracie keeps extras for drop-ins. That cabinet over there. She gestured with her charcoal. Better hurry. She only holds each pose for 20 minutes. Before he knew what he was doing, Sam found himself grabbing a sketch pad and charcoal, settling at an empty easel. His hands shook as he made the first tentative marks on paper. He'd never drawn anything in his life beyond boardroom diagrams. But something about this moment, this woman, compelled him to try, to capture even a fraction of what he was seeing. "Time," a melodious voice announced. Sam looked up to see the model, Gracie, stretching like a cat, completely unself-conscious about her nudity. She reached for a silk robe, and Sam felt an absurd sense of loss as she covered herself. "Let's take 15, Gracie announced to the class. "And remember, we're exploring light and shadow today. Don't get caught up in details. Feel the form." She moved through the room, looking at each student's work, offering gentle corrections and encouragement. Sam tried to cover his pathetic attempt at drawing, but she was already at his easel. "First time sketching?" she asked, her voice warm with humor rather than judgment. "I wasn't planning to." The rain drove me inside. She studied his sketch, a mess of harsh lines and aggressive smudges. "You're fighting the charcoal. Art isn't combat. It's surrender." She stood close enough that he could smell her, cocoa butter and something floral. Her robe had slipped slightly off one shoulder. Sam forced his eyes to stay on his sketch pad. "Here." She moved behind him, her hand covering his where he held the charcoal. "Don't think. Just feel. Let your hand follow what your eye sees." Her breath was warm against his ear, her breast pressed against his shoulder blade. Sam's whole body went rigid. "Relax," she whispered. "Art requires vulnerability." She guided his hand in flowing motions. Under her direction, shapes began to emerge on the paper. Not perfect, not even particularly good, but something real. "Better," she said, stepping back. "You have interesting instincts, raw but promising." Their eyes met, and Sam felt like he'd been struck by lightning. Up close, her eyes were the color of warm honey, flecked with gold. Her lips curved in a smile that seemed to see right through him. "I'm Gracie," she said. "Sam." "Well, Sam. Planning to stay for the second half. Next pose is standing. More challenging. The thought of watching her move, of seeing her body shift into a new position, made his mouth go dry. "I should probably stay," she said. It wasn't quite a command, but close. "Unless you have somewhere more important to be?" He thought of his empty apartment, the business emails waiting, the careful isolation he'd built around his life. "Nowhere," her smile widened. "Good answer." The break ended. Gracie dropped her robe with the same casual confidence, and Sam's breath caught. She moved into a standing pose, one arm raised, weight shifted to one hip, head turned to look over. Her shoulder, like a goddess carved from warm bronze, except alive and absolutely magnetic. For the next hour, Sam drew, badly, but with growing confidence. He stopped thinking about lines and shadows and just let himself see her. The curve of her spine, the strength in her legs, the graceful arch of her neck. When the class ended and other students began packing up, Sam lingered, pretending to clean his easel. "You're not fooling anyone, you know." He turned to find Gracie watching him, now dressed in paint-splattered jeans and a tank top that clung to her curves. Her feet were bare, toenails painted deep purple. "I don't know what you mean. You've been wiping that same spot for 5 minutes. She moved closer. "Waiting for everyone to leave?" Heat crept up his neck. "Maybe." "Why?" The direct question caught him off guard. Why was he waiting? What did he want? "I wanted to thank you for the lesson." "Is that all?" She was standing very close now, close enough that he could see the faint freckles across her nose. "No." "Good. Answer again, because I don't usually do this, but—" She reached past him, grabbing a clean sheet of paper and a piece of charcoal. "I want to draw you." "What? You! I want to draw you. Her eyes traveled over him slowly, assessingly. You have an interesting face, all those walls trying to hide something soft. I don't. Take off your shirt. The command sent heat straight through him. Excuse me? Your shirt, unless you're shy? Her smile was challenging, teasing. I promise I'll be gentle. Mostly. Sam found himself unbuttoning his shirt, his fingers surprisingly steady. He'd been with women since Pam, brief, careful encounters that never went beyond the physical. But this felt different, dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with sex and everything to do with being seen. The undershirt, too, Gracie said, settling at an easel. And sit on that stool. No, don't pose, just be. He did as instructed, feeling exposed in a way that had nothing to do with his bare chest. Gracie studied him with artist's eyes, her hand moving over the paper in quick, confident strokes. You're damaged, she said matter-of-factly. Sam stiffened. That's quite an assumption. Not assumption. Observation. Her eyes flicked up to meet his. Someone broke something fundamental in you. You've built quite the fortress. You see all that from a few charcoal lines. I see it in how you hold yourself, how you tried to hide your drawing, how you're gripping that stool like it might run away. She smiled without stopping her work. I know the look. Had it myself. Once, man I loved turned out to love my best friend more, and my bank account, and my sister. Despite himself, Sam found his shoulders relaxing slightly. That's quite a list. He was quite the multitasker. She set down her charcoal, stood, and walked toward him. What's your damage, Sam? He should leave. Should grab his shirt and maintain his carefully constructed walls. Instead, he found himself talking. My ex-wife. She performed. Everything was calculated, scripted. Made me believe things that weren't real, made me doubt my own ability to recognize truth. Gracie reached out, her fingers ghosting over a scar on his shoulder. Physical or emotional performance? Both. Neither. Does it matter? It does. She traced the scar. From a childhood bike accident, nothing dramatic. Physical wounds heal. Clean. Emotional ones, those leave phantom pain. Her touch was electric. Sam caught her hand, holding it against his chest where his heart hammered against his ribs. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Being kind. You don't know me, she laughed. Rich and warm. Sugar, I make my living reading bodies. Yours has been screaming since you walked in. She leaned closer. Want to know what it's saying? He nodded, not trusting his voice. It's saying you're tired of being afraid, tired of being alone, tired of letting someone who didn't deserve you control your future. And what else? Her free hand came up to cup his jaw. It's saying you want to kiss me, but you're terrified of what that might start. I am. Which part? The wanting or the terror? Both. She smiled. Good. Terror keeps us alert. But wanting reminds us we're still alive. The first brush of her lips against his was featherlight, a question more than a statement. Sam answered by pulling her closer, his hands spanning her waist as he deepened the kiss. She tasted like chai tea and possibility. Her body pressed against his, soft and warm and real in a way nothing had felt real in years. When she made a small sound in her throat, something inside Sam broke free, not shattered but released. He stood, lifting her onto the supply table, stepping between her legs. Her hands roamed his chest, nails scraping lightly against his skin. He kissed her neck, feeling her pulse race under his lips. Wait, she gasped. Wait! Sam froze, immediately stepping back. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Oh, you definitely should have. She was breathing hard, her eyes dark with desire. But not here, not our first time. First time, she slid off the table, pressed against him again. You think I let every rain-soaked stranger kiss me like that? You think I bare my soul to every damaged artist wannabe? I don't know what to think anymore. Good. Thinking's overrated. She grabbed his shirt, helped him put it back on, her fingers lingering on each button. Come home with me. Gracie, not for sex. Not tonight, but come home with me. Let me cook you dinner. Let me show you my real art. Let me prove not everyone performs. He should say no. Every instinct screamed danger. But looking at her, paint under her nails, charcoal smudged. On her cheek, eyes bright with challenge and invitation, Sam realized he was tired of saying no. Tired of safety. Tired of walls. Okay. Her smile lit up the room. Okay. She kissed him again, quick and fierce, then grabbed his hand. Come on, before you change your mind. As she led him toward the elevator, past canvases splashed with vibrant life, Sam felt something shift inside him. Not healing, not yet, but maybe the beginning of believing it was possible. For the record, Gracie said as the elevator descended, you're a terrible artist. The worst, he agreed, but you've got good hands. We can work with that. Her grin was wicked, full of promise, and for the first time in years, Sam found himself looking forward to tomorrow. The rain had stopped by the time they reached the street. The city smelled clean, washed new. Gracie's hand in his felt like a lifeline, pulling him from the depths of his self-imposed exile. My place is just a few blocks, she said. Fair warning, it's tiny, messy, and I have a cat who hates everyone. Everyone? Everyone. But especially men who've been hurt by women. He can smell the fear. Sam surprised himself by laughing. Actually, laughing. Great. Attacked by a judgmental cat. Perfect ending to a strange day. Oh, sugar. Gracie squeezed his hand. The day's just beginning. And walking through the rain-slicked streets of Portland toward an unknown apartment and an uncertain future, Sam Evans realized he was finally ready to find out what came next. The fortress he'd built was developing cracks, and maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what needed to happen. Chapter 4. The Fake Pregnancy. 2 years earlier, the pregnancy test clattered against the marble bathroom counter. Sam Evans stared at the 2 pink lines, his hands trembling with an emotion so pure it felt like prayer. After months of carefully timed attempts, temperature, charts, and Pam's tearful breakdowns each time her period arrived, finally this miracle. Pam? His voice cracked as he called out, Pam, you need to see this. She appeared in the doorway wearing the silk robe he'd bought her in Paris, her expression unreadable, a mask he'd later recognize as calculation. What is it, darling? Sam held up the test, his joy so complete it felt dangerous. We did it. You're pregnant. Pam snatched the test from his hands, studying it with an intensity that seemed odd for someone who'd been desperate for this moment. Then her face crumpled and she sank to the cold bathroom floor, sobbing. Oh, God, she wailed. It's really happening. Sam knelt beside her, pulling her against his chest. Hey, sweetheart, these are happy tears, right? This is what we've been praying for. I'm scared, she whispered, her tears soaking his shirt. What if something goes wrong? What if I lose it? Nothing will go wrong. He kissed her forehead, breathing in her vanilla-scented hair. I'll take care of you, both of you. Promise. She looked up at him with swimming eyes. You'll be there for everything? Every appointment, every moment? Every single one, Sam avowed, meaning it with his whole heart. Over the next 7 months, Sam transformed into an expectant father with the devotion of a convert. He read every pregnancy book, memorized developmental milestones, and documented each ultrasound with reverent attention. When Pam announced they were having twins, 2 boys, he actually wept with joy. Her belly grew with textbook precision. She developed the characteristic waddle, complained about swollen ankles, and sent him out at midnight for pickles and ice cream. Sam rubbed her feet every evening, talked to her stomach for hours, played Mozart against her belly because he'd read it was good for fetal brain development. They're active tonight, Pam would say, shifting on the couch. Feel. But somehow, every time Sam placed his hand on her stomach, the movement stopped. Performance anxiety. she'd joke. "They're already taking after their shy daddy." She wouldn't let him make love to her anymore, not once the pregnancy was confirmed. "Doctor's orders," she insisted, pulling away when he tried to touch her. "Twins are high risk. We can't take any chances." Sam accepted it, though his body ached for her. He channeled his energy into the nursery, painting the walls soft blue, assembling two of everything: cribs, changing tables, bouncy seats. He spent weekends at baby stores, touching tiny clothes with wonder. The baby shower was Pam's masterpiece. The country club ballroom overflowed with blue balloons and silver streamers. 100 guests toasted their growing family while Pam glowed. In a designer maternity dress, accepting gifts with practiced grace. "You're radiant," everyone told her. "Pregnancy suits you." Sam watched her work the room, proud of his beautiful, fertile wife. He should have noticed how she always changed. In the closet, how she flinched when he tried to help her dress. How she showered with the door locked, running water to mask any sounds. "The boys are camera shy," she'd say when he wanted to film her belly moving. "They stop kicking the moment you look." Tuesday afternoon, 7 months in. Sam came home early, with a surprise: the antique rocking chair that had been in his family for generations, newly restored. He imagined rocking his sons to sleep, telling them stories about their great-grandfather who'd built the chair with his own hands. Water ran in the master bathroom. Through the door, he heard Pam singing softly, a lullaby for their boys. He smiled, imagining her in the tub, belly rising from the bubbles like an island of promise. Maybe he'd join her, wash her hair the way she used to love. He opened the door without knocking. Pam stood in the shower, her back to him, her gloriously flat back, her unpregnant waist, her slender hips. On the counter sat what looked like a deflated balloon, if balloons were made of medical-grade silicone and cost $2,000. "Pam," she spun around, her hands flying to cover her empty belly. For a moment, time stopped. Water ran down her unchanged body while his world tilted off. "It's axis. I can explain," she whispered, reaching for a towel. "You're not—" The words wouldn't form. Couldn't form. "Please, just listen. 7 months. His voice sounded strange, distant. 7 fucking months of lies. He stumbled to the counter, picking up the prosthetic belly. It was sophisticated. Straps, padding, even a realistic navel. The inside was warm from her body heat. "The ultrasounds," he said numbly. "I saw our sons, heard their heartbeats." Pam wrapped herself in a towel, her performance shifting into damage control. "Those were real ultrasounds, downloaded from medical sites. I played heartbeat sounds from my phone during the appointments. The doctor, she was never actually there, Sam. You always waited in the lobby. I paid an actress." The room spun. Sam gripped the counter, staring at the obscene prop in his hands. "The nursery," he whispered. "The names we chose, Alexander and James, after our fathers. The shower. Everyone knows. Everyone thinks—" "I'll fix it," Pam said quickly. "I'll tell them I miscarried. Tragic loss of twins. People understand these. Things happen. Stop!" The word ripped from his throat. "Just stop talking. Sam, please. I did it for us. For you. You wanted children so badly and I couldn't. I'm infertile. Found out years ago. But I knew you'd leave if you knew, so I bought time, looked into adoption, surrogacy. You let me talk to them." His voice broke completely. "Every night I told them stories, promised them I'd teach them to play baseball, told them about the tree house I'd build. I was trying to make you happy by making me love children that never existed. I was going to fix it, find real babies somehow. Get out!" She fled the bathroom. Sam sank to the wet floor, still clutching the fake belly, his mind fracturing as the full scope of her deception hit him. The crib he'd assembled at 3 a.m. because he couldn't sleep from excitement. The tiny Yankees caps he'd bought, one for each boy. The college funds he'd started, his mother's delighted tears when he'd told her she'd have grandsons. None of it real, all of it performance. He found more evidence over the next hours. The prenatal vitamins were just regular supplements, the pregnancy books she'd annotated with fake symptoms. In her laptop, a folder marked Operation Baby Trap, containing links to prosthetic bellies, fake ultrasounds, sound effects for heartbeats. The most damning evidence was an email thread with someone named Derek. "How much longer do I have to keep this up? He talks to my stomach for hours. It's pathetic." 2 more months, baby. Then tragic miscarriage, consolation period, and hello divorce settlement. Just remember to seem devastated. The fucker bought 2 of everything. Do you know how many baby gifts I'll have to return? Your performance is Oscar-worthy. He actually cried at the ultrasound. Keep it up. When Pam returned that evening, she found Sam in the nursery, sitting in the restored rocking chair. The prosthetic belly lay in one of the cribs, like a deflated corpse of his dreams. "I know about Derek," he said without looking at her. Her mask dropped completely. "Thank God. I'm so tired of pretending to care about your breeding fetish." "Breeding fetish? Please, every dinner party, every family gathering. When are you having kids? Like my only purpose was to be your incubator." She laughed coldly. "You never once asked if I wanted children. Just assumed I'd pop them out. Like a good little wife. So you tortured me instead. Made me fall in love with babies that didn't exist." "Fall in love? You fell in love with the idea, with playing super daddy, with continuing the precious Evans bloodline." She examined her. Manicure with studied indifference. The really sick part. "You were happier with fake babies than you ever were with just me." Sam stood slowly, his body feeling ancient, brittle. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow." "Perfect. I've already told everyone about the miscarriage. Devastating loss of twin boys. They're very sympathetic, especially about how distant you've been lately, how the loss seems to have broken something in you." "You planned even this?" "Of course. I've been dropping hints about your mental state for weeks. How you talk to the babies for hours, how obsessed you've become, when I sadly share that you might be having a breakdown, that you can't accept the loss. Well, people will understand why I need to leave, for my own mental health." The cruelty was breathtaking. She'd planned his destruction down to the last detail. "Oh, and Sam, the gay rumors I've been spreading, they're going to get much louder during the divorce." Poor Pam, married to a man so desperate to hide his sexuality that he fixated on having children. The loss of the twins made him snap, unable to maintain the charade any longer. Sam walked past her, out of the nursery filled with furniture for ghosts. "Tell them whatever you want, I'm done." The divorce was everything she'd promised. Brutal, calculated, devastating. Pam played the grieving mother perfectly, garnering sympathy while painting Sam as unstable, possibly gay, definitely broken by the loss of their twins. She got the house, half his assets, and his reputation. But the real damage was internal. Sam found he couldn't walk past baby stores without feeling physically ill, couldn't see pregnant women without wondering if they were real. The ability to trust, to believe in miracles, died in that nursery, full of empty cribs. 18 months later, when Gracie would place his hand on her growing belly to feel their child's first flutter of movement, Sam would have a panic attack so severe she'd rush him to the emergency room. It would take months of therapy before he could believe the life growing inside her was real. The fake pregnancy hadn't just stolen his money or his dreams, it had stolen his ability to believe in life's most basic miracle. Until Gracie showed him that real love didn't need props or performances. That truth, however messy, was always better than the prettiest lie. But first, he had to learn to trust again. And that journey was just beginning to seem possible. Chapter 5. Midnight Hunger. Present day, 1 month before the wedding. The grandfather clock in Gracie's parents' foyer chimed 11. As Sam shifted uncomfortably in his chair, pretending to focus on Mr. Smith's story about his Miles Davis vinyl collection. Across the dining room, Gracie laughed at something her sister whispered, the sound shooting straight to his groin. She caught his eye, deliberately running her tongue across her bottom lip, and Sam gripped his wineglass hard enough to whiten his knuckles. 3 hours. 3 torturous hours of playing the perfect couple at her family's monthly Sunday dinner. 3 hours of stolen glances, accidental touches, and Gracie's stockinged foot sliding up his calf under the table until he nearly moaned into his sweet potato pie. "More wine, Sam," Mrs. Smith offered, but Gracie stood abruptly. "Actually, Mama, we need to go. Early meeting tomorrow." She stretched, her blouse riding up to reveal a strip of smooth skin that made Sam's mouth water. "On a Monday?" Her mother frowned. "Gallery emergency," Gracie lied smoothly. "Life or death situation with a temperamental artist." In the car, the moment the doors closed, Gracie was on him. She climbed over the center console, straddling his lap in the driver's seat, her mouth hot and demanding on his. "Do you know," she gasped between kisses, "how badly I wanted to crawl under that table and take you in my mouth while Daddy talked about jazz?" Sam's hands gripped her hips, pulling her down against his hardness. "Your father was explaining bebop, and all I could think about was bending you over that dining table." She ground against him, making them both groan. "Drive, now, before I fuck you right here in your car in my parents' driveway." Sam had never driven so fast in his life. They made it 3 blocks before Gracie's hand was working his zipper. "Baby, I'm driving." "Then concentrate," she purred, freeing him from his pants. Her mouth was on him before he could protest, hot and wet and perfect. Sam white-knuckled the steering wheel, trying to keep the car steady as Gracie worked him with lips and tongue, taking him deep. At a red light, he tangled his fingers in her hair, guiding her rhythm until angry honks forced him to move. They didn't make it home. "Pull over!" Gracie demanded, lifting her head. Her lipstick was smeared, eyes wild with need. "Now!" Sam swerved into an empty office parking lot, barely getting the car in park before Gracie was climbing onto his lap. She'd worn a dress. She always did on family dinner nights, knowing what it did to him. No panties, he discovered as she positioned herself above him. Someone could see. "Let them watch," she growled, sinking onto him in one fluid motion. "Let them see how I claim you." The car rocked with their movements, windows fogging. Gracie rode him hard and fast, her breasts bouncing as she moved. Sam pulled down her neckline, capturing a nipple in his mouth, making her cry out. "That's it," he growled against her skin. "Take what you need." She shattered around him with a scream that probably woke the whole neighborhood, her inner muscles clenching so tight, Sam followed immediately, spilling deep inside her with a groan that seemed to come from his soul. "We're animals," she laughed breathlessly, collapsed against his chest. "Your fault," Sam accused, nipping at her neck. "That thing with your foot during dessert? You loved every second." "I love you," he corrected, still buried inside her. They managed to make it home, but barely through the door before Sam had her pressed against the wall, dropping to his knees to taste their combined flavors on his tongue. Gracie's legs trembled. As he devoured her, her fingers tangled in his hair. "Bed," she gasped, as he found that spot that made her see stars. "Need you in our bed." They left a trail of clothes down the hallway, his shirt, her dress, underwear scattered like breadcrumbs. In the bedroom, Sam laid her out like a feast, kissing every inch he could reach while she writhed beneath him. "How do you do this to me?" Sam wondered aloud, sliding into her again with a groan. "We just had each other, and I'm already desperate for more." "Same way you do it to me," she moaned, wrapping her legs around his waist to pull him deeper. "Like I'll die if I don't. Have you inside me." They made love for hours, switching positions whenever one of them got close to the edge, drawing out the pleasure until they were both trembling with need. against the shower wall with hot water cascading over their joined bodies. Bent over, the bathroom counter, Gracie watching their reflection as Sam took her from behind. Back in bed with Gracie on top, controlling the pace until Sam flipped them, driving into her with single-minded intensity. "Can't get enough," Sam confessed later, his body covered in nail marks and love bites. "I think about you constantly. In meetings, I'm planning exactly how I'll take you when I get home." Gracie turned to face him, eyes soft despite the lingering heat. "Remember that second date, when you were still so careful, so controlled?" Sam laughed, trailing his fingers down her spine. "And you straddled me in that restaurant booth, kissed me until the manager threatened to call the police?" "You were terrified of wanting me too much," she traced patterns on his chest. "Scared of losing control." "Terrified," he admitted, "of you, of how you made me feel, of how much I needed you already. And now—" Sam rolled her beneath him again, settling between her thighs. "Now I'm addicted, completely, utterly dependent on you." "Good," she smiled, guiding him back inside her, "because I plan to keep you desperate for me forever." Their bodies moved together in perfect synchrony, years of exploration teaching them exactly where to touch, how to move to drive each other. Wild. Sam knew that pressing just there would make Gracie gasp. Gracie knew that scraping her nails down his back would make him thrust harder. "Sometimes," Gracie panted, her body climbing toward another peak, "I think our bodies were designed for each other, like puzzle pieces." "We were," Sam agreed, angling his hips to hit that spot that made her eyes roll back. "Every broken part of me fits perfectly into every broken part of you." They came together this time, crying out in unison, bodies shuddering with shared release. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that would definitely need changing, Sam traced lazy patterns on Gracie's sweat-dampened skin. "Your mother invited us to dinner again next Sunday," he mentioned casually. Gracie groaned. "Can't. I'll spontaneously combust if I have to sit through another family dinner without touching you." "We could skip it," Sam suggested, his hand drifting. Lower, teasing. "Tell them we're sick." Or, Gracie grinned wickedly, already responding to his touch, "We could go. And I could wear that red wrap dress, the one with nothing underneath." Sam's body stirred again, despite their marathon session. "You're evil. You love it." "I love you," he corrected, pulling her on top of him. "Even if you're trying to kill me with sexual frustration." "Death by desire," Gracie mused, beginning to move again. "There are worse ways to go." As dawn light crept through their windows, they were still reaching for each other, bodies responding despite exhaustion. The world outside could wait. In here, in their bed, they'd created their own universe where nothing existed but skin and sweat and whispered promises. "Think we'll always be like this?" Gracie asked sleepily, her head on Sam's chest, listening to his heartbeat slow. "Like what?" "Desperate for each other. Like we'll die without it." Sam considered this, combing his fingers through her hair. After Pam, he'd thought he'd never want anyone again, never trust enough to let himself need. But Gracie had awakened something primal in him that went beyond mere desire. "Yes," he said finally, "when we're old and grey, I'll still want you like this. Still need to be inside you, taste you, feel you come apart in my arms." "Promise?" "I promise." As they drifted into exhausted sleep, bodies still intertwined, Sam marveled at the truth of it. His hunger for Gracie wasn't just physical, though God knew that burned hot enough to consume them both. It was spiritual, emotional, a recognition of finding his other half. And unlike the fake pregnancies and manufactured virgin acts of his past, this was real. This was true. This was forever. Outside their window, Portland woke to a Monday morning. But inside their bedroom, Sam and Gracie slept deeply, their bodies curved together even in dreams, hands reaching for each other instinctively. Tomorrow would bring wedding planning and family obligations and all the mundane realities of life. But tonight, this morning, they had each other. And that was everything. "Ready for round 7? Gracie murmured against his chest just as he was falling asleep. Sam's laugh rumbled through his chest. "Give me 10 minutes to recover, you insatiable woman." 5 minutes, she negotiated, her hand already working its magic. "And I'll do that thing with my tongue you like." "Deal," Sam groaned, his body already responding despite his exhaustion. "You're going to be the death of me." "But what a way to go," Gracie grinned, sliding down his body with wicked intent. And as the sun rose fully over Portland, painting their tangled bodies in golden light, Sam Evans knew with absolute certainty that he'd never get enough of this woman, never stop needing her, never stop drowning in the hunger they created together. Forever wasn't long enough, but it was a good start. Chapter 6. The Sex Tape. 2 weeks before the wedding, the cream-colored invitation arrived on Thursday morning, heavy cardstock with gold embossing. "The Portland Business Alliance requests your presence at the annual charity gala." Sam tossed it aside, more interested in watching Gracie move around their bedroom, wearing nothing but his shirt from last night. "We should go," she said, catching his dismissive gesture. "Show off your stunning fiancé before the wedding. Let everyone see what they'll be missing." "I'd rather keep you all to myself," Sam growled, pulling her back into bed, his hands already sliding under the shirt to find warm skin. "Behave," she laughed, but her protest died as his fingers found their target. "Ooh, maybe we can be a little late." 2 hours later, slightly disheveled but glowing, they finally made it to the kitchen for coffee. "We're definitely going to that gala," Gracie declared, stealing Sam's toast. "I have the perfect dress. You won't be able to keep your hands off me." "I already can't keep my hands off you," Sam pointed out, proving it by pulling her onto his lap. Saturday night arrived too quickly. Sam adjusted his bow tie for the 10th time, waiting for Gracie to finish getting ready. When she emerged from the bathroom, his breath stopped. The emerald green gown hugged every curve before falling in a dramatic sweep to the floor. The neckline plunged dangerously, held together by delicate gold chains that left her back completely bare. Her skin seemed to glow against the jewel tone, and she'd styled her hair in an elegant updo that exposed the graceful line of her neck. "Jesus Christ," Sam breathed. Gracie's smile was pure satisfaction. "Worth the wait." "We're not going," he decided, moving toward her. "We're staying here so I can peel you out of that dress with my teeth." "Later," she promised, dancing out of reach. "Right now I want to show you off. Let everyone see who got the prize." The gala was in full swing when they arrived, Portland's business elite mixing with local celebrities and politicians. Heads turned as they entered, conversations pausing. Sam felt a surge of pride as Gracie's hand rested on his arm. This magnificent woman had chosen him, loved him, saved him. They worked the room like the power couple they were becoming. Sam's business acumen paired with Gracie's artistic connections, creating new opportunities. She charmed everyone she met, her laugh infectious, her insights sharp. "Sam, there you are!" The familiar voice made Sam's shoulders tense. Victoria Walsh, one of Pam's oldest friends and most vicious allies, glided toward them in designer red that matched her lipstick. Her smile reminded Sam of a shark scenting blood. "Victoria," Sam nodded stiffly. "This is my fiancée, Gracie." "Oh, I've heard so much about you," Victoria purred, her eyes scanning Gracie with predatory assessment. "Pam's told me everything." Gracie's hand tightened slightly on Sam's arm, but her smile never wavered. "All good things, I'm certain." Victoria's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "Well, actually, Pam asked me to give you something." A wedding present, she called it. She's so thoughtful that way, even from her current circumstances. She pulled out her phone with theatrical flair. She thought you should see this before the ceremony. Only fair, really. Full disclosure and all that. The video started playing, volume deliberately loud. On screen, two men in a dimly lit bedroom, one bearing enough resemblance to Sam to be convincing at first glance. The angle was carefully chosen, the lighting strategic, the sounds explicitly clear. "Oh my God," someone gasped nearby. "Is that Sam Evans?" More people turned to look, a ripple of shock spreading through the crowd. The video continued. Moans, explicit movements, everything designed for maximum impact and humiliation. "Turn it off," Sam said quietly, his face pale, fists clenched. "But don't you want your fiancée to see?" Victoria's voice dripped with false concern. "Don't you think she deserves to know what kind of man she's marrying? The truth about your preferences?" Gracie stepped forward, taking the phone from Victoria's manicured hand. She studied the screen intently, while whispers rippled through the gathering crowd, people craning to see, others pulling out their own phones to record the drama. Then Gracie laughed. Not a nervous laugh or a hurt laugh, but a full-throated, genuine laugh that made everyone stare. "Oh, honey," Gracie said, handing the phone back. "Next time Pam wants to fake a sex tape, tell her to do better research. Much better." "Excuse me?" Victoria's composure cracked slightly. Gracie turned to address the growing crowd, her voice clear and confident. "First of all, my man has a birthmark on his left hip shaped like Italy. This actor, smooth as a baby's bottom. Second, Sam has a scar on his inner right thigh from a sailing accident when he was 15, also missing from our porn star here." She moved closer to Sam, her hand sliding possessively down his chest. "Third, and this is the embarrassing part, for the actor, Sam is considerably more generously proportioned than this performer. Trust me, I've conducted extensive personal research." Shocked laughter rippled through the crowd. Someone actually applauded. Sam stared at Gracie in amazement. "But since we're sharing intimate details," Gracie continued, her voice taking on a sultry tone that made Sam's temperature rise, "let me tell you about the real Sam Evans, the one who makes love to me so thoroughly that our neighbors have complained about the noise 3 times, this week alone." "Gracie," Sam whispered, his face flushing. But she was on fire now, eyes blazing. "The man in that pathetic video, amateur hour, my Sam, he once made me come 7 times in one night, 7, different positions each time. There was this thing he did with my legs over his shoulders and his tongue. I think we get the picture." Someone called out, half scandalized, half entertained. "Do you?" Gracie's eyes found Victoria's again. "Because I could go on. I've memorized every inch of my man's body, every single inch. I've traced it with my hands, my mouth, my tongue. I know the spot behind his ear that makes him groan, the place on his hip that makes him thrust harder, the way he tastes when he—" "That's quite enough," Victoria interrupted, her face red. "Is it? Because I haven't even started on his technique, the way he uses his fingers, his mouth, how he pays attention to every sound I make, every shiver, every gasp, how he can keep me on the edge for hours until I'm begging." Sam couldn't stand it anymore. He grabbed Gracie, pulling her against him and kissing her with all the passion and gratitude and sheer overwhelming love flooding through him. The crowd burst into applause and whistles. When they broke apart, Gracie was breathing hard, her lipstick smeared, eyes dark with desire. "Take me home," she whispered against his lips. "Right now, before I demonstrate exactly what you do to me in front of all these people." They barely made it to the coat check. In the darkened corner, Sam pressed Gracie against the wall, his hands roaming her body through the silk of her dress. "You incredible woman," he growled against her neck. "Defending me like that, telling everyone everything. she gasped as his hand found the slit in her dress, fingers teasing. "I'll tell the whole world how you make me feel, how you worship my body, how you've ruined me for any other man." The attendant had diplomatically disappeared. Sam hiked up Gracie's dress, finding her already wet and ready. She bit his shoulder to muffle her cry as he stroked her. "Someone could walk in," she panted. "Let them. You just told a room full of people about our sex life. Fair's fair, maid." "You hot, didn't it?" She grinned wickedly, then gasped as he slid 2 fingers inside her. "Knowing I'm so proud of how you fuck me?" Sam's control snapped. He spun her around, pressing her against the wall. The sound of his zipper was loud in the quiet space. Then he was inside her, one hard thrust that made them both groan. "This what you want," he growled in her ear, setting a rhythm that had Gracie clawing at the wall. "Want everyone to know how I take you?" "Yes," she moaned. "God, yes, harder." He obliged, one hand on her hip, the other sliding around to stroke her in time with his thrusts. Gracie's legs shook as she climbed toward release. "That's it, love," Sam encouraged. "Come for me. Show them who you belong to." She shattered with a muffled scream, her body clenching around him so perfectly that Sam followed immediately, spilling inside her with a groan that echoed in the small space. They stood there panting, clothes askew, bodies still joined. Then Gracie started laughing. "We're terrible," she giggled, "fucking in the coat check like teenagers." "Your fault," Sam accused, kissing her neck as he slowly withdrew. "That speech you gave, Christ, Gracie, the whole room was imagining us in bed." "Good. Let them imagine. Let Victoria run back to Pam and report that I publicly claimed you, that I'm proud of you, that I know exactly what I have." They adjusted their clothes, trying to look presentable. In the car, Gracie's hand found his thigh, teasing. "That tape won't be the last thing she tries," she said softly. "I know." Sam covered her hand with his. "But with you beside me, let her try. We can handle anything." "Damn right we can." Gracie's smile was fierce. "Though I might have exaggerated. About the 7 times. Did you? It was actually 8, but I didn't want to brag too much." Victoria looked like she might faint. Sam pulled into their driveway, his body already stirring again. "Want to try for 9? "Race you to the bedroom?" Gracie challenged, already opening her door. They tumbled through their front door, hands pulling at clothes, mouths hungry for each other. In their bedroom, Sam made good on his promise, worshipping every inch of Gracie's body until she was incoherent with pleasure. "I love you," he whispered against her skin. "Love how you defend me, protect me, fight for me with such passion." "Always," Gracie promised, pulling him up for a deep kiss. "You're mine to protect now, mine to defend, mine to love." As they moved, together, bodies perfectly in sync, Sam marveled at this woman who'd stood up in front of Portland's elite and proudly claimed him, flaws and all, who'd turned Pam's weapon into a declaration of their passion. Later, tangled in sheets and each other, Gracie traced patterns on Sam's chest. "Think Victoria recorded my speech?" "Probably." "Good." Her grin was wicked. "Let Pam watch it. Let her. See what real love looks like, what real passion feels like." Sam pulled her closer, breathing in her scent. "You're dangerous. You know that? Only to people who try to hurt you." She yawned, snuggling against him. "Everyone else, I'm perfectly lovely." "Perfectly lovely," Sam agreed, already planning all the ways he'd show his appreciation when they woke. The sex tape had been meant to destroy them. Instead, it had only proved what Sam already knew, that Gracie's love was fierce, protective, and absolutely unshakable. And that was worth more than any reputation or social standing. Let Pam keep trying. She'd never understand what she was up against. Real love, real passion, real trust, real everything. Chapter 7. Kidnapped. 1 week before the wedding. The morning started perfectly. Sam woke to Gracie tracing lazy patterns on his chest, sunlight, streaming through their bedroom windows, turning her skin to burnished gold. They made love slowly, savoring each touch, each kiss, with the awareness that in 7 days they'd finally be husband and wife. "I need to pick up my wedding dress," Gracie murmured against his shoulder afterward, still breathless. "Final fitting. Maria called yesterday to confirm." "Want me to come with you?" Sam asked, though he already knew the answer. She laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest. "And risk you seeing it? Not a chance. Some traditions are worth keeping." Sam watched her dress, admiring how she moved with unconscious grace. Even in simple jeans and a paint-stained t-shirt, she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. "I'll be at the office," he said, pulling her back for one more kiss that quickly deepened into something more urgent. "Call me when you're done." "Always," she promised against his lips. "Now let me go before we end up back in bed and I miss my appointment." But she didn't call. By 2 p.m. Sam was concerned. By 3, worried. By 4, when the bridal shop confirmed she'd never arrived for her appointment, he was frantic. His phone rang, unknown number. "Gracie," he answered immediately, heart pounding. "Not quite," Pam's voice purred through the speaker, sending ice through his veins. "Though I do have something that belongs to you." Sam's legs nearly gave out. "What have you done? Where is she?" Such panic in your voice. It's touching, really. Almost makes me nostalgic for when you cared about me like that." Her laugh was bitter. "Want to see your precious fiancé?" His phone buzzed with an incoming video. The image made his blood freeze. Gracie tied to a metal chair in what looked like an abandoned warehouse, a gag in her mouth. Her eyes were fierce, defiant, but he could see the fear beneath. A bruise was already forming on her cheek. "You psychotic bitch." "Careful," Pam interrupted. "Words hurt, Sam, and right now I'm the only thing standing between Gracie and some very unpleasant men I've hired. Men with particular tastes. Men who appreciate a beautiful woman like your artist." They're quite eager to get started. Nausea rolled through Sam's stomach. "What do you want?" "You. Come back to me. Call off this ridiculous wedding. Tell the world you made a mistake, that you've always loved me. Do that, and your little artist goes free. Pam, listen to me. No, you listen. You have 1 hour. Come. Alone to the old Riverside warehouse, District 9. You know the place. We looked at it once for your company expansion. If I see cops, if I see anyone but you, well, my associates have been very patient, but they're getting restless." The line went dead. Sam was already running to his car, his mind racing. He called Detective Morrison, an old friend from his college days who now worked Portland PD. "Morrison, I need help. Pam's taken Gracie. She's lost it completely." "Where?" "Riverside Warehouse, District 9. But she said if she sees cops." "I know the drill. Give me 20 minutes to get units in place, then go in. We'll be watching, ready to move the second we have an opening. Sam, try to stay calm. We'll get her back." The warehouse loomed against the darkening sky, a hulking skeleton of rust and broken windows. Sam's hands shook as he parked, every instinct screaming danger. But Gracie was in there, his Gracie. Nothing else mattered. Inside, shadows and dust. Then industrial lights flickered on, revealing a scene from his worst nightmares. Gracie was tied to a chair in the center of the space, her wrists raw from struggling against the ropes. Her blouse was torn at the shoulder, her hair wild. But when she saw him, her eyes lit up with relief before widening in warning, shaking her head frantically. "Sam!" Pam emerged from the shadows, looking immaculate in a white pantsuit that reminded him uncomfortably of what she'd worn to their own wedding. "Right on time. You always were reliable." Behind her, 3 men stepped into view, large, menacing, their eyes fixed on Gracie with obvious hunger. One of them nursed scratches on his face. "Let her go," Sam said evenly, fighting to keep his voice steady. "This is between us, Pam. Always has been." "Is it?" Pam circled Gracie's chair like a predator stalking prey. "Because she seems very much involved. Took all 3 of them to subdue her. Your little artist has claws. Marcus, they might need stitches. She ran a manicured nail down Gracie's cheek. Over the bruise, Gracie jerked away, eyes blazing with fury above the gag. "Don't touch her," Sam growled, stepping forward. Ah, Pam wagged a finger. "Not another step. You see, I've had a lot of time to think in that horrible facility they put me in, about us, about what we had, about how you threw it all away for this." She gestured dismissively at Gracie. "She's not even that pretty, not refined, not suitable for someone of your standing." Muffled sounds came from Gracie, definitely curse words, despite the gag. Even terrified, his woman was fierce. "You're right," Sam said carefully. "She's not refined, she's real, she's honest, she's everything you never were." Pam's face twisted. "I gave you everything. I played the perfect wife." "You played," Sam interrupted. "That's all you ever did. Performed, lied, manipulated. Gracie loves me for who I am, not what I can give her." "Love?" Pam laughed hysterically. "You want to talk about love? I loved you enough to create an entire world for you. The virgin bride you wanted, the babies you dreamed of. Lies, all of it lies." Sam's control cracked. "You made me believe in things that didn't exist. Made me doubt my own sanity. That's not love, Pam. That's possession. That's sickness. And what's this?" Pam grabbed Gracie's hair, yanking her head back. "This is healthy? This ghetto trash who seduced you with her body? Who turned you against me?" Something savage flashed in Sam's eyes. "Call her that again and I'll—" "You'll what?" Pam produced a knife, pressing it against Gracie's throat. "Choose your next words very carefully, Sam." Everything seemed to slow down. Sam saw Gracie's eyes widen, saw the blade glint under the harsh lights, saw the three men shift eagerly. "You win," he said quietly. "I'll come back to you. I'll call. Off the wedding. I'll say whatever you want me to say. Just please let her go." Pam's eyes glittered with triumph. "I knew you'd see reason. You belong with me, Sam. We belong together. This was all just a mistake, a phase. We can fix it." "Yes," Sam agreed, taking a slow step forward. "We can fix it. But first, you need to let Gracie go. That was the deal." "Was it? I don't recall." "Agreeing to that. Maybe she needs to stay here a while, as insurance, to make sure you keep your word." The knife pressed harder, and a thin line of blood appeared on Gracie's throat. "No!" Sam lunged forward, but the men grabbed him, forcing him to his knees. "Poor Sam," Pam crooned, standing over him, "always trying to be the hero. But you're not a hero. You're just a man who needed a firm hand, my hand, and now you'll learn what happens when you stray." She nodded to her hired thugs. "Hold him. Make him watch. Maybe seeing his whore with other men will cure him of his infatuation." The largest man grinned, moving toward Gracie. That's when everything exploded into chaos. Gracie, who'd been working at her bonds the entire time, suddenly twisted free. Her hands shot up, grabbing the knife from Pam's surprised grip. In one fluid motion, she slashed at the man approaching her, opening a gash across his chest. "Nobody touches me but Sam," she snarled, the gag finally falling away. Police burst through every entrance, weapons drawn, shouting commands. The warehouse erupted in confusion. Men running, sirens wailing, Pam screaming. Sam broke free from his distracted captors, reaching Gracie just as she swayed on her feet. He caught her as her legs gave out, the knife clattering to the floor. "I've got you," he whispered, holding her tight. "I've got you, baby. You're safe." "Took you long enough," she croaked, then began to shake. "Sam, I was so scared. I know. God, I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Around them, police subdued the hired men and cuffed a hysterical Pam, who kept screaming that Sam belonged to her, that this wasn't over, that she'd never let him go. "It's over," Detective Morrison said, approaching them. "She's going away for a very long time. Kidnapping, assault, conspiracy. She's looking at 25 to life." Paramedics checked Gracie's injuries. The cut on her throat was shallow, the bruises painful, but not serious. She refused to let go of Sam's hand through it all. Later, at the police station, Gracie gave her statement with remarkable composure. She described the abduction from the parking garage, the threats, Pam's increasingly unhinged behavior. I kept saying I'd stolen her life, Gracie told the detective, that Sam was just confused, that he'd come back to her once I was gone. She really believes he belongs to her, like property. Are you pressing charges? Every single one you can think of, Gracie said firmly. She needs help, serious help, but she also needs to face consequences, real consequences this time. In the car afterward, Sam drove carefully, one hand holding Gracie's like a lifeline. I thought I'd lost you, he admitted. When I saw that video, when I saw the knife at your throat, but you came for me, Gracie interrupted, without hesitation. You were willing to sacrifice yourself for me. Of course I was. I'd do anything. I know. She squeezed his hand. That's why we're getting married in 6 days, because we both know what we have is worth fighting for, worth dying for. Worth living for, Sam corrected, pulling into their driveway. Very much worth living for. Inside, they showered together, Sam gently washing away the day's trauma. His hands trembled as he cleaned the cut on her throat, checked each bruise and scrape. I'm okay, Gracie assured him, turning to face him under the spray. We're okay. He kissed her, it was desperate, needful. She responded with equal fervor, her body pressing against his. Need you, she whispered. Need to feel alive, need to know this is real. They made love in the shower, against the tiles, water streaming over their joined bodies. It wasn't gentle, it was affirmation, reclamation, a primal celebration of survival. Later, in bed, they held each other close. Think she's really done this time? Gracie asked quietly. She's facing life in prison. Yeah, she's done. Good. Gracie snuggled closer. Because we have a wedding in 6 days, and I refuse to let her drama overshadow our day. Nothing could overshadow you, Sam murmured, already half asleep. My brave, brilliant, beautiful warrior. Damn right, Gracie agreed. Now sleep. We have cake tasting tomorrow, and I plan to make you try every single flavor. As Sam drifted off, holding his future wife safe in his arms, he marveled at the journey that had brought them here. Through lies and manipulation, through kidnapping and violence, their love had not only survived but grown stronger. Pam had tried to break them with her final desperate act. Instead, she'd only proved what Sam already knew. Real love wasn't safe or predictable. It was fierce and protective and worth fighting for, and in 6 days, he'd pledged that love to Gracie in front of everyone who mattered. Let them all see what real love looked like, unbreakable, undeniable, unstoppable. Chapter 8. Hospital Confessions. 5 days before the wedding. Gracie woke to the antiseptic smell of the hospital and the warm weight of Sam's hand in hers. Her throat ached where the knife had pressed, her wrists were bandaged, and her body felt like she'd been thrown down a flight of stairs. But she was alive. They both were. Hey! Sam's voice was rough with exhaustion. He looked terrible, stubble, darkening his jaw, his green eyes shadowed with worry, his clothes wrinkled from sleeping in the uncomfortable chair beside her bed. Hey yourself, she croaked, attempting a smile. How long was I out? Just overnight. The doctors wanted to observe you. Delayed shock, they said. Plus they needed to properly clean that cut on your throat. His voice broke slightly on the last word. Gracie reached up to touch the bandage, wincing at the movement. You look worse than I feel. Sam's laugh was shaky. You scared the hell out of me. When I saw that knife at your throat when she... God, Gracie, I thought I was going to watch you die. But you didn't. I'm here. We're here. She squeezed his hand, trying to reassure him. We survived. Because you're a badass who apparently learned knife fighting from somewhere? He attempted levity, but his eyes remained haunted. "Where did you learn to break out of ropes like that?" "3 older brothers," she reminded him. "They used to tie me up during cowboys and Indians. I got very good at escaping." A knock interrupted them. An elegant older woman peered around the door, silver hair perfectly coiffed despite the early "Our designer suit immaculate. May I come in?" Sam stiffened immediately. "Mrs. Rhodes, what are you doing here?" Pam's mother entered hesitantly, clutching an expensive handbag like a shield. Her face was drawn with fatigue and something that looked like deep shame. "I heard what happened, what my daughter did. I needed to see you both. To apologize. To explain. You don't need to apologize for her actions," Gracie said gently, recognizing pain in the older woman's eyes. "But I do, because I enabled them, protected her, hid the truth for far too long." Mrs. Rhodes sank into a chair, suddenly looking every one of her 72 years. "I failed my daughter, and in doing so, I failed you both." She reached into her handbag, pulling out a thick manila folder with trembling hands. "After they arrested Pamela last night, I went to her apartment. I found these. I think you need to see them to understand." Sam took the folder warily. Inside were medical records, psychiatric evaluations, police reports dating back 20 years. "Narcissistic personality disorder with sociopathic tendencies," Mrs. Rhodes said quietly. "First diagnosed when she was 16, after she tried to frame a classmate for drug possession because the girl won a scholarship Pamela wanted." Gracie watched Sam's face as he read, saw the color drain from it as he processed document after document. "She's been under psychiatric care most of her adult life," Mrs. Rhodes continued. "Medications, therapy, behavioral interventions. Nothing worked. She learned to hide it, to manipulate the system, to manipulate everyone, including her doctors." "Including you?" Sam asked, his voice hard. "Especially me." Tears slipped down the older woman's perfectly made-up cheeks. "I wanted so badly to believe she could be normal, that love could fix her. When she met you, seemed so happy, I thought. I hoped." She pulled out another document with shaking hands. "This is what I really came to show you. Your marriage certificate." Sam frowned. "I have our marriage certificate, marriage." "The divorce lawyer." "No, you have a very convincing forgery. Pamela was never legally your wife." The room went completely silent except for the steady beep of monitors. Gracie felt Sam's hand go slack in hers. "What?" "She forged everything. The marriage license, the certificates, even paid off a corrupt clerk at City Hall. The marriage was never registered with the state, never legal, never real." Mrs. Rhodes's voice was barely a whisper now. "I found out during what you thought were divorce proceedings. But she begged me not to tell you. Said it would humiliate you more after everything else, and I was weak. I protected her again." Sam stared at the authentic documents showing no record of his marriage. "We were never married. The entire thing was a performance, a con, a delusion. I'm not even sure which anymore." Mrs. Rhodes wiped at her tears. "Which means, Miss Smith, you're not marrying a divorced man. You're marrying someone who's never been married at all." Gracie watched, emotions flicker across Sam's face. Shock, anger, confusion, then something like relief. "Everything was a lie," he whispered. "Everything, even the marriage itself." "I'm so sorry," Mrs. Rhodes said. "I should have told you sooner. Should have warned you when you started dating again. But she's my daughter, and I kept hoping, kept believing her promises that she was getting better." "Better?" Sam's laugh was bitter. "She kidnapped Gracie, held a knife to her throat, hired men to... I know." The older woman's composure finally broke completely. "I know what she did, what she's capable of, what I let her become by protecting her from consequences all these years." She turned to Gracie. "You showed more strength yesterday than I've shown in 30 years of being her mother. You faced her down, fought back, survived. I had something worth fighting for, Gracie said simply, looking at Sam. Mrs. Rhodes nodded. Yes, I can see that. Real love, not the performance my daughter gave, not the obsession she called love. The real thing. She stood slowly, gathering her dignity like armor. The prosecutor will be calling me to testify. I'll tell them everything, her history, her patterns, her manipulations, every hospitalization, every incident I covered up, every time I paid someone off to make problems go away. It's time for truth. Past time. At the door, she paused. You're good for him, she told Gracie. I can see it in how he looks at you, how he holds your hand like you're his lifeline. That's what love really looks like. I'm glad he found it. After she left, Sam sat in stunned silence, still staring at the documents proving his marriage had been as fake as everything else about Pam. I was never married, he said wonderingly. All that guilt, that sense of failure, the shame of divorce, and it wasn't even real. You're free, Gracie said softly. Completely free. You always were. I've been free since I met you. He climbed carefully onto the narrow hospital bed, gathering her gently against him despite the IV lines and monitor wires. God, Gracie, what if she'd killed you? What if I'd lost you because of her sick obsession with something that wasn't even real? You didn't. She turned in his arms, ignoring the pull of stitches. I'm here. We're here. And in 5 days I get to be your first wife, your only wife, your real wife. My only everything. His kiss was gentle, mindful of her injuries, but full of emotion. How are you so strong? After what she put you through, how can you be so calm? Because I have something she never did. I have real love, the kind that makes you fight, survive, thrive. She smiled against his lips. Plus, I may have mentioned the 3 brothers, and growing up in a rough neighborhood, girl learned to scrap early. His laugh rumbled through his chest. Remind me never to piss you off. Oh, baby, you can piss me off any time. Make-up sex with you is spectacular. Gracie. But he was grinning. Now the shadows lifting from his eyes for the first time since her ordeal. A nurse bustled in, raising an eyebrow at finding them entwined on the small bed. Miss Smith needs rest, Mr. Evans, and that bed isn't designed for 2. I am resting, Gracie protested. Best rest I've ever had. He's better than any painkiller you've got. The nurse's stern expression softened slightly. 5 more minutes. Then back to your chair, Mr. Evans. As she left, Sam's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then quickly silenced it. Reporters, the story's already out. Socialite's kidnapping plot fails. Wedding still on. Good. Let everyone know we're not broken, not beaten, not afraid. Never. Afraid, not with you beside me. He kissed her forehead, then reluctantly climbed back to his chair as the nurse returned. Sleep now? I'll be right here when you wake up. As Gracie drifted off, she heard him on the phone with the wedding planner. No, don't change anything. The wedding happens as scheduled. Yes, I'm sure. We've waited long enough. Nothing stops us. Now, she smiled, sinking into peaceful sleep. Pam had tried to destroy them with elaborate lies, violent schemes, years of manipulation. But all she'd done was clear the path for something real. When Gracie woke again, it was dark outside. Sam was asleep in the chair, still holding her hand, his phone lighting up with messages he was ignoring. In the soft light, she studied this man who'd survived such cruelty, such elaborate deception, yet still found the courage to love again, to trust, to fight for their future. Another knock disturbed her thoughts. Detective Morrison peered in, saw Sam sleeping, and stepped quietly to her bedside. Sorry to disturb. Wanted to update you. Pam Rhodes pled guilty to all charges. Her lawyer convinced her to take a deal. 25 years minimum with mandatory psychiatric treatment. No possibility of parole for at least 15. Good. Gracie said firmly. She needs help, real help this time. There's more. Morrison shifted uncomfortably. She left something, a letter, for Sam. He placed an envelope on the bedside table. Up to you if he sees it. Given everything, might be better to just destroy it. After the detective left, Gracie stared at the envelope. Part of her wanted to burn it, protect Sam from whatever poison Pam had written in her cell. But that would be making his choice for him. They were building something real, built on truth and trust. You're awake. Sam stirred, immediately alert, checking her face for signs of pain. How do you feel? Should I call the nurse? Better. Morrison was here. She gestured to the envelope. Pam left you a letter. Sam's jaw tightened. He picked up the envelope, holding it like it might explode. For a long moment he just stared at it. Then, with deliberate movements, he tore it in half. Then quarters, then eighths. I don't need her explanations or apologies or whatever twisted thing she wrote. I don't need closure. I have everything I need right here. He dropped the pieces in the trash and climbed back onto the bed with her. Rules be damned. I love you, he whispered into her hair. My fierce, brave, incredible first and only wife. Not wife yet, she murmured against his chest. 5 more days. 4 days, 17 hours, and... He checked his watch. 23 minutes. But who's counting? Gracie laughed, the sound filling the sterile room with warmth. I love you too, even if you're terrible at rescuing damsels in distress. Hey, I came to save you. And I ended up saving myself, and kind of you too. Face it, baby, I'm the hero in this story. Yes, Sam agreed seriously. Yes, you are. My hero, my love, my everything. As they held each other in the narrow hospital bed, ignoring the nurse's disapproving looks, Gracie felt the last shadows of Pam's influence dissolve. The truth had set them both free. In 4 days, 17 hours, and 21 minutes, she'd marry this man properly. No lies, no manipulation, no hidden agendas. Just love. Real, messy, passionate, unbreakable love. The kind worth fighting for. The kind worth everything. Chapter 9. The Trial. 3 days before the wedding. The courthouse steps were slick with morning rain as Sam helped Gracie from the car. She moved carefully, the knife wound on her throat still tender beneath its bandage. But her spine was straight, her head high. She dressed deliberately, a sharp navy suit that meant business, her natural hair pulled back elegantly. You don't have to do this, Sam said for the 10th time since breakfast. We could postpone or just submit written statements. No. Gracie's voice was firm as steel. We face this now, clear the air completely, then we get married with absolutely nothing hanging over us. The courtroom was packed. Pam's arrest and the kidnapping attempt had made headlines. Socialites' twisted plot to destroy ex's wedding. And Portland society had turned out in force for the drama. Sam felt sick seeing Pam at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, her usually perfect hair hanging limp. Even now, even after everything, she was performing, shoulders hunched, face pale and drawn, playing the broken woman. All rise! Judge Harrison, a stern woman in her 60s with silver hair and knowing eyes, took the bench. We're here for the sentencing hearing in the matter of State versus Rhodes. I understand the defendant wishes to change her plea. Pam's public defender stood, looking exhausted. Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Rhodes wishes to plead guilty to all charges. A murmur ran through the courtroom. Sam felt Gracie's hand tighten on his. Ms. Rhodes, you understand that by pleading guilty, you're admitting to kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, conspiracy to commit assault, criminal conspiracy, and making terroristic threats. Pam stood slowly, her voice small. I understand, Your Honor, and you're doing this of your own free will. You understand the consequences? Yes, Your Honor. I want to take responsibility. Finally. Very well. We'll proceed to sentencing. I understand there are victim impact statements. The prosecutor nodded. "Both victims wish to speak, Your Honor." Gracie rose first, walking to the podium with quiet dignity. She looked directly at Pam as she spoke, her voice clear and carrying. "You held a knife to my throat. You threatened my life. You hired men to assault me because you couldn't accept that Sam had moved on. You called me names, tried to destroy our reputations, attempted to break us apart through lies and manipulation." Her voice grew stronger. "But what you never understood is that real love isn't about possession. It's about partnership. Sam isn't property to be owned or fought over. He's a human being with the right to choose who he loves. And he chose me, not because I tricked him or trapped him, but because we fell in love, real love, the kind you build day by day, truth by truth." She paused, then continued more softly. "I hope you get help, Pam. Real help this time. Because living with that much hate, that much need to control, that's its own prison, one you built yourself long before these charges." As Gracie returned to her seat, Sam kissed her temple. "Perfect," he whispered. "Absolutely perfect." "Mr. Evans?" The judge called. Sam approached the podium, his prepared statement forgotten. Looking at Pam, he spoke from the heart. "For years, I thought I was the problem, that I'd failed as a husband, as a man. You made me doubt my own reality, my own worth. The fake pregnancy with twins, the staged virginity, the forged marriage certificate. Each lie chipped away at my ability to trust myself or anyone else." His voice grew harder. "But the cruelest thing, you tried to make me doubt my capacity to love and be loved. You nearly succeeded. I spent 2 years convinced I was broken, unworthy of real connection, unable to trust anyone's motives, including my own." He looked back at Gracie, drawing strength from her presence. "Then I met someone who showed me what love actually looks like. Not performance or manipulation, but truth, even messy truth, especially messy truth." Turning back to Pam, he concluded, "You have no power over me anymore. The fear, the doubt, the shame, I'm leaving all of it here in this courtroom. My life begins now. My real life, with someone who loves me for who I am, not what I can give them." The judge nodded as Sam returned to his seat. "Ms. Rhodes, do you wish to speak before sentencing?" Pam stood slowly. For the first time since Sam had known her, she looked real. No masks, no calculated expressions, just a broken woman facing consequences. "I'm sick," she said simply. "Have been for a long time. I know that's not an excuse, but it's the truth. Maybe the first real truth I've ever told." She looked at Sam, and he saw something in her eyes he'd never seen before, genuine remorse. "I'm sorry, for all of it. I thought if I could make you need me, it would be the same as love. I thought if I controlled everything, made everything perfect, you'd never leave. But all I did was create a prison for both of us." To Gracie, she said, "You're right, I don't understand real love. I never have. But I can see that you do, both of you. I hope someday I can learn what that feels like. What it means to love without owning, to care without controlling." She sat down, and the courtroom was utterly silent. Even the reporters had stopped taking notes. Judge Harrison shuffled papers, then spoke. "Ms. Rhodes, the court accepts your guilty plea and your expression of remorse. However, your actions were calculated, cruel, and extremely dangerous. You terrorized these people out of obsession and spite. You put lives at risk." She paused, looking directly at Pam. "The court sentences you to 25 years in prison, with mandatory psychiatric treatment throughout your incarceration. You'll be eligible for parole in 15 years, contingent on psychiatric evaluation and the victim's input." The gavel came down with finality. As court officers led Pam away, she looked back once. Sam met her eyes and, surprising himself, nodded slightly. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. They were done. Finally, completely done. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. "Mr. Evans, Ms. Smith, how do you feel about the sentence?" Gracie stepped forward, radiant despite everything she'd been through. "We feel free, and we have a wedding to finish planning. Will you postpone after this ordeal?" Sam pulled Gracie close, grinning. "Absolutely not. We're getting married in 3 days, and nothing, not ex-wives, not kidnapping, not anything, is going to stop us. What about the trauma, the emotional toll?" Gracie's laugh rang out clear and bright. "The only trauma will be if the florist doesn't get my orchids right. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a cake tasting to get to." The crowd parted as they walked to their car, and someone started clapping. Soon applause rippled through the gathered people, strangers showing support for love conquering madness. Back home, Sam found Gracie in their bedroom, staring at her. Wedding dress hanging on the closet door. The ivory silk seemed to glow in the afternoon light. "Second thoughts?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "Never. Not for a single second." She leaned back against him. "Just thinking how different it all could have been. If she'd succeeded in breaking us up, if that knife had cut deeper, if I hadn't gotten free." "But you did." Sam turned her to face him. "You're here, we're here, we're getting married." "Damn right we are." Her smile turned wicked. "Want to practice for our wedding night?" What exactly did you have in mind?" "Well," she started unbuttoning his shirt, "I was thinking we could try that thing from last Tuesday. You know, with the silk scarves. Mrs. Future Evans, you're insatiable. And you love it," she grinned, pushing him toward the bed. They made love with slow intensity, rediscovering each other after the trauma of recent days. When Gracie cried out his name, Sam felt the last chains of his past shatter completely. This was real. This was theirs. This was forever. Later, tangled in sheets and afternoon sunlight, Gracie traced the scratch marks she'd left on his back. Think she meant it. The apology. Does it matter? Sam caught her hand, kissing her fingertips. Whether she meant it or not doesn't change anything for us. No, Gracie agreed. What matters is this, us, the future we're building. Speaking of which, Sam grinned, I may have bought something. Sam Evans, we agreed no more presents before the wedding. It's not exactly a present, more like an investment in our future. He grabbed his laptop, pulling up architectural plans. Remember that old warehouse where it happened? Gracie stiffened slightly. Kind of hard to forget. I bought it. You... What? Why would you... Because I want to turn something ugly into something beautiful. Look. He showed her the plans. Your art therapy center, the one you've been dreaming about. Huge studio spaces, room for classes, a gallery for your students' work. We'll gut it completely, fill it with light and color and life. Gracie stared at the plans, tears forming in her eyes. You want to transform the place where she tried to destroy us into a place of healing? Exactly. Take her worst moment and turn it into your best dream. What do you think? She answered by kissing him deeply, then pulling back to look at the plans again. I think we'll need bigger windows here, and maybe a children's area over here. Oh, and definitely a coffee bar. Artists need caffeine. They spent the next hour going over plans, Gracie's excitement growing as she envisioned the space. It was perfect, turning trauma into triumph, darkness into light. As evening fell, they ordered takeout and ate it in bed, still naked, still touching constantly as if reassuring themselves they were really there, really safe, really together. 3 days, Gracie murmured, feeding Sam a piece of orange chicken. 3 days until you're legally, officially, forever mine. Already am, Sam replied, licking sauce off her fingers. Have been since that first day in your studio. When you were terrible at drawing but excellent at being half naked. I've gotten better at drawing, and even better at being naked. Gracie grinned, then squealed as Sam tickled her. Their laughter filled the room, chasing away any lingering shadows. Tomorrow would bring wedding preparations, final fittings, rehearsal dinner, last-minute details. But tonight they had each other. "I love you," Sam whispered later as they drifted towards sleep. "Thank you for fighting for us, for believing in us." "Always," Gracie promised, curling into him. "Forever and always." The trial was over, the past was settled, justice had been served, and in 3 days their real life would begin. No lies, no manipulation, no performance, just love. Real, passionate, unshakable love, the kind worth everything they'd been through to find it. Chapter 10. Forever begins now. The wedding day. Sam stood at the altar of St. Augustine Cathedral, watching the same doors that had witnessed chaos and humiliation just weeks before. But this morning, everything felt different. Golden sunlight poured through stained glass. Windows, painting rainbow patterns across the marble floor. The pews were filled with genuine friends, chosen family, people who'd stood by them through everything. "Nervous?" Marcus, his best man, whispered. "No," Sam replied, surprised to find it completely true. Ready, so ready. The string quartet began Pachelbel's canon, and the doors opened. Gracie appeared like a vision in flowing ivory silk and delicate lace. Her natural hair was crowned with white orchids, her smile radiant enough to power the city. She walked alone, not because she had no one to give her away, but because she was no one's to give. She was choosing this, choosing him, just as he was choosing her. Their eyes locked across the cathedral, and Sam felt his breath catch. God, she was magnificent. His warrior, his love, his everything. But as Gracie reached the halfway point, the massive doors burst open again with a thunderous crash. "Stop this wedding!" Sam's heart nearly stopped, but it wasn't Pam. She was locked away, finally facing justice. The voice belonged to a wild-haired woman in a hospital gown, bandages visible. On her wrists, somehow impossibly, Pam had escaped. "I won't let this happen," she shrieked, producing a gun from the folds of her gown. "If I can't have you, no one will." Screams erupted. Guests dove for cover. But Gracie didn't run. Instead, she stepped forward, placing herself directly between Pam and Sam, her wedding dress swirling around her like armor. "Enough," Gracie said, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. "This ends now." "Move!" Pam waved the gun erratically. "This is between me and Sam." "No." Gracie took another step forward. "It's between you and reality. And reality is that Sam chose me, freely, completely, forever. You stole him. I freed him." Gracie's voice was calm, hypnotic. "From your lies, your sickness, your twisted games. And now I'm going to free you too." She moved closer to Pam, despite Sam's strangled protest, despite the gun shaking in Pam's hands. "You're sick, Pam, not evil, sick. And sick people deserve help, not hate. Stay back." Pam's hand trembled violently, the gun wavering. But Gracie kept walking, kept talking. "I know about emptiness, about feeling like you'll die if someone doesn't love you back, about the terror of being alone with yourself. But that's not love, Pam. That's fear. That's pain. That's the illness talking." She was within arm's reach now. Real love isn't about possession. It's about liberation. Sam liberated me from my own fears, my own doubts. Let me help liberate you from yours. For a moment, Pam's face crumpled, the mask slipping to reveal the terrified, broken woman beneath. The gun lowered slightly, then her eyes hardened. "Pretty words won't save you." She raised the gun, aimed at Gracie's heart, and pulled the trigger. Click, the gun was empty. In the stunned silence, Gracie moved. She gently took the weapon from Pam's nerveless fingers, then, incredibly, pulled the other woman into an embrace. "It's over," Gracie whispered, holding her tight as Pam collapsed against her, sobbing. "You're safe now. We're all safe." Police rushed in, having been alerted by the hospital. As they led Pam away, broken, defeated, but somehow finally at peace, she looked back at Gracie. "Thank you," she mouthed, tears streaming down her face. The cathedral erupted in amazed murmurs. Gracie turned to Sam, her wedding dress rumpled, her orchid crown askew, but her eyes shining with strength and love. "Sorry about the delay," she said with a shaky smile. "Where were we?" Sam crossed to her in 3 strides, cupping her face in trembling hands. "You remarkable woman! You could have been killed." But I wasn't. She needed someone to truly see her, not the monster she pretended to be, but the broken person underneath who never learned how to love properly. Gracie's eyes shimmered with tears. Everyone deserves that chance to be seen, to be understood, to be helped toward healing. "Marry me," Sam said urgently, "right now, before anything else can happen." "I thought you'd never ask," she laughed through her tears. They returned to the altar, hands clasped, hearts still racing. The minister opened his prayer book with hands that only shook slightly. "Dearly beloved," he began, his voice gaining strength, "we have witnessed today that love truly conquers all, even hatred, even madness, even our deepest fears. The couple before us has proven that their bond cannot be broken by any force on earth or in the human heart. When they exchanged vows, their voices rang with truth and power. Gracie," Sam's voice broke with emotion, "you didn't just save my life today. You saved my soul. Every day since I met you, you've shown me what real love looks like, what courage looks like, what grace looks like. I promise to spend the rest of my life loving you with the same fierce compassion you showed today, to stand by you, fight for you, believe in you, and cherish every moment we have together." Gracie's tears flowed freely as she responded, "Sam, you taught me that broken doesn't mean worthless, that scars are just proof we survived, that love isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. I promise to love you, protect you, challenge you, and stand between you and any storm that comes our way. You are my heart, my home, my forever." When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Sam swept Gracie into a kiss that went on so long, the congregation began cheering and whistling. He lifted her off her feet, spinning her around as rose petals fell from the ceiling like snow, filling the cathedral with their sweet scent. "I love you, Mrs. Evans," he whispered against her lips. "I love you, Mr. Evans," she replied. "Now take me to bed before something else dramatic happens." Their reception was held in the cathedral's garden, transformed into a fairyland of twinkling lights, cascading flowers, and flowing champagne. But Sam and Gracie only had eyes for each other, dancing their first dance to Al Green's "Let's Stay Together," moving as one body, one heart, one soul. "No more drama," Gracie murmured against his chest. "Promise?" "I promise nothing but beautiful, boring, normal married life from now on," Sam replied, pulling her closer. Gracie laughed, the sound pure joy. "Define normal for us. Making love every morning, arguing over whose turn it is to do dishes, building our family, growing old together." His hand drifted to her stomach. "Starting as soon as possible. Tonight," she promised, her eyes darkening with desire. "We start tonight." They left the reception early, unable to keep their hands off each other. In the limo, Sam had Gracie on his lap immediately, her wedding dress hiked up as she straddled him. "The driver," she gasped as his hands found skin. "Privacy screen," Sam growled, claiming her mouth. "I need you now." Their coupling was urgent, desperate, a claiming and a promise. When Gracie shattered around him, crying his name, Sam followed her over the edge with a groan that seemed to come from his soul. "Just a preview," he promised, as they adjusted their clothes, both breathless and grinning. "Wait until I get you alone in our suite." The honeymoon suite at the Ritz-Carlton had been upgraded to the penthouse, the hotel's gift after hearing their story. As Sam carried Gracie over the threshold, they both laughed at the familiar gesture that now held only joy. "Finally," he breathed, kicking the door shut. "My wife. My actual, legal, forever wife." Your only wife, she agreed, sliding down his body slowly. Now show me what that means to you. He laid her on the enormous bed like she was precious treasure, then began the slow, worshipful task of undressing her. Each button revealed was kissed, each inch of skin exposed was tasted, the wedding dress puddled on the floor like fallen snow. "You're so beautiful," he whispered, taking in the sight of her in white lace lingerie. "So brave, so mine." "Yours," she agreed, sitting up to undress him with equal reverence. "Forever yours." When they were both naked, they came together with desperate need, tempered by infinite tenderness. Every touch was a promise, every kiss a vow more binding than any spoken in the cathedral. They made love for hours, relearning each other's bodies, establishing their claim on this new life they were building. Against the windows overlooking the city lights, Gracie's hands pressed to the glass as Sam worshipped her from behind. In the jetted tub, water sloshing over the edges as she rode him with abandon. On the private balcony under the stars, uncaring, who might see their silhouettes against the night sky. Insatiable, Sam laughed as Gracie pushed him back onto the bed for the fourth time. "For you! Always." She sank onto him with a moan that went straight through him. "I'll never get enough of you. Never stop wanting you. Never stop needing this connection." When they finally collapsed near dawn, exhausted and sated, every muscle aching in the best way, they held each other close and watched the sun rise over their city. "Think we made a baby?" Gracie murmured against his chest, her hand resting over her stomach. "If not, we'll keep trying," Sam promised, pulling her closer. "Every day, every night until we get it right." "Such hardship," she laughed. "However, will we manage?" "With dedication," he grinned, already stirring again. "Lots and lots of dedication." Their flight to Bora Bora left that evening. As the private jet soared toward paradise, Gracie dozed with her head on Sam's shoulder while he studied her sleeping face, marveling at the journey that had brought them here. Through lies and truth, through violence and grace, through fear and courage, they'd found their way to each other, and now, finally, their real life could begin. Gracie stirred, looking up at him with sleepy eyes full of love. "What are you thinking about?" "You," Sam said simply. "Always you, forever you." "Good answer." She shifted to straddle his lap, grinning as his body immediately responded. "Want to join the Mile High Club on our wedding night?" Gracie. The flight. Attendance. Private jet, private bedroom, remember. She was already working on his belt. No one to scandalize but each other. As she sank onto him with a soft moan, Sam thanked whatever forces had brought this amazing woman into his life. Pam had tried to destroy him with lies and manipulation, but Gracie had rebuilt him with truth and passion. "I love you," he whispered as she began to move, their bodies finding that perfect rhythm even at 30,000 feet. "Forever," she promised, her eyes locked on his. "Forever and always." Outside the jet windows, the sun set in brilliant oranges and purples, painting the clouds in glory. Inside, Sam and Gracie Evans celebrated their love the way they would for the rest of their lives, with passion, with joy, and with the absolute certainty that they'd found their perfect match. Real love had conquered fake love. Truth had vanquished. Lies, compassion had transformed vengeance, and in their private bedroom high above the Pacific, as they reached completion together with cries of pure joy, Sam knew with bone-deep certainty that every trial had been worth it for this moment. This woman, this love that would never end. "Welcome to forever, Mrs. Evans," he whispered against her lips. "Forever sounds perfect, Mr. Evans," she replied, already moving again, insatiable for the man who was finally, truly, completely hers. Absolutely perfect. Their story had begun. with chaos and deception. It was ending, no, beginning, with truth and passion and the kind of love that legends were made of. The past was gone, the future beckoned bright, and in the present, they had each other, forever and always. They had each other, and that was everything.